Welcome to the Zapata brand. And now, your host, George Zapata.
Okay, guys, welcome to the Zapata brand podcast. And if I were to say that I'm excited, that would be an understatement. I have with me right now Gregg Valentino. I know if you guys have been watching the Zapata brand podcast, you've been listening to me, and I've been telling you about how I'm going to have a social media star on, and here he is right here in Berwick, in studio, which was hard to get. But right now, I want to give it off to Gregg. Gregg, for those who don't know you, just give us a little bit of a background on who you are and how you became such a social media superstar.
Do you think girls look at me and go, oh my God, that's hot? They're like, that's gross.
Say hi to Gregg Valentino and his big biceps. Greg?
Hey, where's Gregg Valentino?
His 340-mile-an-hour fastball is a sight to see.
Could a man's biceps get so big they look like they're going to explode?
The dude with the world's largest arms. Remember that guy?
How many think his biceps are bigger than my head?
Holy crap.
You know, I'm a momo. You're a momo with momos. It's not a bad thing. In this case, anyway. A lot of people idolize these guys, whether it's a rock star, bodybuilder, movie star, whoever. And all of a sudden you get to meet them. And man, is it a letdown. I've been bodybuilding before most of these pro bodybuilders were even alive.
I'm a freaking Momo, so I don't look at myself as a social media superstar. I'm just a fly in the ointment, man. Just the biggest fly in a shit pile, but at least I got plenty to eat. My name is Gregg Valentino. For those of you that don't know me, I was a bodybuilder for many years, natural bodybuilder. I started taking steroids, and everybody knew me for the big arm thing because I got so big. Everywhere, took a lot of steroids, and I loved every minute of it. But 6,000 milligrams a test, but a week. But I started. I fell into things by accident, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I started. I was so big that people would take pictures of me and this, that, the other thing, and they start sending it into the magazines, and then. Ripley's, believe it or not, is the one who really started the whole thing off. Now,
if you could just imagine what it would be like now, today, if this was years ago, and they have Facebook, social media, like that, you would have been way bigger than like an Andrew Tate, or you would have been huge.
Well, I got to tell you something. I have a video that I can send you of. I think his name is Rudy Valverde, who was the head of Google, and he did this. In like 2000, whatever it was, 2003, 2004, whatever, he put out a video saying Google searches are blowing up for Gregg Valentino and for the man with the biggest arms and for Mr. T, believe it or not.
Mr. T.
I will actually give you, if you want the footage, I will send it to you. Maybe we could stick it here. How about that? Maybe we'll stick the footage here.
Okay.
So I'll send you that footage of him. It's from Google's. They did this thing. They used to put out this little video, and they would talk about like the big searches that are going on, and it was me and this other guy because of the Ripley's, believe it or not. That's how it started.
Right. I
was on Ripley's for the biggest arms ever, and all this stuff, and then Jay Leno saw me, and he flew me out to California, and he put me on the show. So it was on Jay Leno. What's his name saw me to Carson Daly, so he put me on the Carson Daly show. Then then they started doing all these other shows. I mean, I don't even know all the shows I've been on a lot of them. Tyra Banks, all that. But it all started from Ripley's.
Okay, good. Well, what I do is I like to go backwards.
Okay,
I like to go backwards. So tell me about where you were born, your mom and dad, briefly, as to your childhood.
I was born in Manhattan on Fifth Avenue Hospital, okay? It was called Flower Fifth back then, and I lived in the Bronx for the first part of my life. I technically was there till I was 13 years old, but the thing is I was back and forth between Yorktown Heights and the Bronx, from maybe from when I was like 8 years old to 13, because my grandmother lived there, took care of me and my sister. My mother was, sick. So,
your mom was sick when you were 13.
No, before that.
Before that, okay.
But for the longest time.
So did you know her when you were with her? Well, obviously you knew her, but I'm saying your life with her was her being sick, or was she Cable's taking
she
care
was
of you.
back and forth always, and she would spend
Okay.
like a long time in the hospital.
Okay.
So, and my father would have to work, so my grandmother would take care of us. We lived in the Bronx. We moved to Yorktown Heights, but then, my mother was sick, so we'd have to go back to the Bronx. So I consider Yorktown my real home, but I'm from the Bronx. The Bronx is my original, area where I live.
Which is why you're a big Yankee fan.
Oh, dude,
I'd imagine.
I live and breathe pinstripes,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah.
I bleed pinstripes.
Yeah.
Lately, it's been bleeding the pinstripes.
Correct.
you know
I think
what
there's
I
going to
mean.
be some changes made soon, and if they
yeah.
don't, there's going to be a lot of heads to roll.
If George was alive, he'd fire his son.
There,
Let's just put
would
it that
be
way.
that would be something going on. So you go there. How was your school? As an elementary up until high school, were you a good kid, bad student, good student, or just run of the mill?
It's funny. Excuse me. COVID. No, I coughed because I had throat cancer. So sometimes when I
Oh, holy shit!
yeah,
Did you really?
Yeah, I had 3 surgeries. I was supposed to be in the Patrick Bet David podcast, and he booked me for the 13th of February, and that was the day I had my first operation. And then I had an Then he said, "Okay, look, what about 2-3 weeks later?" 2-3 weeks later, I had the second operation, and then an emergency surgery 1 week. So I had 3 surgeries in 5 weeks' time of throat cancer.
When was this?
2020.
Holy crap!
Yeah, the day of my second throat surgery was on the day Trump shut everything down, March 17th, 2020, and the first surgery was February 13th, and that's when Patrick Bet David wanted me there, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah, obviously.
But I don't know how the hell did I get on that?
Because I want to know how you were as a child.
As a child. I don't know how that got onto that. Oh, because I coughed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. I coughed. If you people know me, I jump around. I'm fucking nuts. I drove. Oh, sorry, I cursed. I drove poor Joe crazy in the car. I mean, he was sitting driving like this. Like
He
he
actually drove past Nescapec to make the turn here.
Anyway, as a kid, it's the craziest thing because as a kid, I was a very quiet kid. As a matter of fact,
You were quiet.
Yeah, very quiet.
Oh, my God.
To the point where the teachers used to say, "We don't even know he's in class. He doesn't talk. He doesn't answer." I was a very, very quiet kid. And then in 5th grade, I had there was an epiphany in my life. What happened was, I had this teacher. His name was Mr. O'Connor.
Mr. O'Connor,
and
yeah.
I loved Mr. O'Connor. I loved him. He was a nurturing teacher, but at the same time, he took no shit. Like, for instance, I remember we did this little movie with him, and I was like the producer of this movie.
Right.
And it was 8mm, because back then that's what it was. But I remember we painted a sign for the movie that we were putting in the movie, a prop, and I left out the paint. And the next day when I got in class, the paint was still on the desk and everything, desk and everything. And he said, "I'm not your maid. You don't leave this out. You clean this up. You know what I mean? And if you want to do things, I'll let you do anything, but you got to clean this stuff." I can't explain it to you. He was like a father figure like that. Like he. But here's the thing. So I was a quiet kid, and I really loved his class. And I had this other teacher that was abusive to me. And I remember when I was, I said this saying. We were outside at recess, and I said, "Mother Nature," like that, right? I don't remember why I said it. It was something stupid, And this teacher, his name is Mr. Keller. He was this big guy, looked like Frankenstein, like 6'4", flat top hair. This is 1960s, and so he had that flat top hair. And he calls my mother the next day, and he tells my mother that I said "motherfucker," right? So I get home, and my mother's like, "Come here, I want to talk to you." And she said, "What did you say today in school?" And I said, "I don't know. You know what I mean? What do you mean? What did I say?" And because she was suspect of this, right? And she said, "Did you say the word motherfucker?" And I said, "What? I never heard. That's the first time I ever heard the word. Sorry about this. Fuck. It was from my mother. I never heard that word before. Kids didn't really use that when I was." You took in this 1960s. Kids had a little bit more respect. You couldn't wear jeans to school. You had to wear shoes. You know what I mean? It was gym. Remember in gym, you older guys, remember you had to bring your sneakers? Gym, it's gym day, bring your sneakers. Anyway, so that was like the beginning of it. But this guy used to bully me, right? He was a big freaking guy. He used to bully me. He didn't like me, and he made it very obvious that he didn't like me. So one day I'm at school, and I guess maybe I was talking with another kid or something, and all of a sudden I see this big lummox, this teacher. This is my homeroom teacher now. and he parted the desks like this. And he leans over and he grabs me by my shirt like this and lifts me up out of my chair and drags me to the front door and pulls me out, opens up the front door and slams me off the wall out, outside the front door, the door to the class.
Yeah.
Because that was when we were bad, when kids were bad in school, stand out in the hallway. That was our, it was like almost like stand in the corner.
Yeah.
So we had to stand out in the hallway, slam me there, and he said, "You stay here and you don't move," like that. And I was like frozen and I was like really scared. So I went home, I told my mother, right? And she already was suspect about this teacher. So,
right.
So the next day, she tells me to tell the story to my father. So I tell my father. The next day comes, I go to school, and I'm sitting there and they're reading off the roll call. And next thing I know, the door literally, boom, flies open of the classroom, and it's my father. My father comes over, and he grabs Mr. Kelleher, just like he grabbed me. He grabbed him, he dragged him right out of the classroom, like a rag.
No, your dad, a big guy?
My father was a big guy.
Okay.
My father was a bull. He was a fucking bull. He was like 220. He was not super tough. He was like 5'10", almost 5'11", but he was a bull. He was like a rugged guy, very rugged. My father was known for kicking ass. So anyway, he grabbed Mr. Keller, he dragged him out, and that was it. Next thing you know, other teacher comes running in from next door. Her name was Mrs. Jensen. She said, "Everybody, relax, calm down. Greg, I need you to come with me right now." So I'm mortified. I didn't know this was going to happen. I see my father come in, grab my teacher, not say a word to me, didn't even look at me, my father. Teacher didn't look at me. My father never said a word to Mr. Kelleher. He just grabbed him and dragged him out of the classroom. So we go down, the woman, Mrs. Jensen, brings me to the principal's office, and Mr. Kelleher's sitting there like this. And my father's sitting there, and the principal's sitting there, and the principal says, "Greg, come here, come sit down. Are you okay? Everything all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm looking at my father, I'm like, "Dad?" And my father was like this, and he goes to me. He goes to Mr. Keller, goes, "Tell him now." And Mr. Keller goes, I'm sorry, put my hands on you." And the principal was like, "Greg, we're very sorry what happened. I wish you would have come to us. But your father is very upset about what happened with Mr. Keller. I'm gonna put you in Mr. O'Connor's class because I know you really, really like him. So you're gonna go to Mr. O'Connor's class."
Yeah.
And I'm always getting emotional telling the story because I've told it a million times. But my father was my hero.
Yeah.
Sorry, but he's dead.
Yeah.
So, but he did a lot.
He did.
He
did.
He changed my life, my father, in a lot of ways. So, that guy shit his pants, and my father told him, "If you look at my son, if you say a word, I'm coming down here, and next time it's not going to be good for you." So, sorry.
There's no, you're good. You're good.
Sorry
You're good. You're all right. You're good.
But you gotta understand.
That's
he's dead. You think back, that was the turning point of my life because I remember I played on a football team, Little League football. Oh shit! I got those trophies outside. I gotta show you. I'm gonna bring in some stuff. I'm gonna show you.
Yeah.
I played Little League football. Right. I was the worst kid on the team. I sucked. I used to take grass. My family would come see me. I would take grass and rub it on my pants to make it look like, because I didn't even play. I stunk, right? But when my father did that changed everything. That changed everything. He gave me confidence because Mr. O'Connor, my teacher, gave me confidence. And my father, seeing him stick up for me, take no shit for his son. He didn't give a shit. He would have got arrested. He didn't care. I was his son, and you're not going to put your hands on my son. And he was like, so that changed my thinking. And you know that the next year I became the best kid in the league in football, and in baseball I have the trophy. I brought it here. I'm going to show you. Same thing with baseball. That was the year. It was 1972 was when with the baseball. So it was the next year. Okay. I went from being the worst to being the best. I remember the kid throwing pitches to me, right? I was on a team before, the years before. I was quiet. This kid didn't do shit. But you know what? The next year, I was cracking balls in the outfield. Every ball, boom, boom, boom. And even the kid that was pitching, his mother was an assistant coach. And his mother, he even said to her, is that the same kid that was on the team last year? That's the same kid, that Valentino kid? That's him? And the mother said, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And then I won most valuable player. I got the trophy right here. But, and I don't mean to get, sorry I get emotional, but it's good TV. Sorry I get emotional, but you got to understand, my father was my hero growing up. You know what I mean? The same thing happened with the football. I had 2 football incidences with my father where he went after a football coach. One in Pop Warner after when I was good. And I remember the coach told me, you got to stop listening to your father, because my father would be on the sideline telling him, hey, this is what you got to do. Watch number 22. He would get mad that my father wasn't the coach. So the one coach told me, stop listening to your father. He's not the coach of the team. So I went home. I told my father. My father said, where does he live? Do you know where he lives? And I said, yeah, he lives over there. So we were coming home from pizza parlor. My father said, all right, sit in the car for a minute. Show me his house. It's that one right there. My father just walked right in his house and pulled him outside. That's the way my father was. He didn't even knock on the door. He didn't knock on the door. My sister got her teeth knocked out because my father, when I was younger.
Jesus Christ.
Well, this is a crazy story. She was 6 at the time. She had just gotten her permanent teeth, 6 or 7, right? She had just gotten her permanent teeth in. And it was these people lived up on the top of the street. Their name was Barcelino. It was an Italian family, right? They lived at the top of the street from us, right? And, the brothers were all older guys, you know what I mean? I was maybe or if my sister was 7, I was like 8. And these guys were older. They were like teenagers, like 16, 17, like that. And they would do they would do bad things to, they would tie you up and do, I remember they tied my friend's brother to a telephone pole. They would do crazy stuff like that, beat you. Mm-hmm. I remember the kid beat me up, and he was like 16, 17 years old. I was 8 years old. Went home, told my father. My father storms down the street. Everybody in the neighborhood goes, there he goes, Paulie. My father's name was Paul. He goes down the street. Goes right in the house. Next thing you know, there's a fight. My father, you can hear him in there. There's all kinds of shit happening. And, the kids are running out of the house, the teenagers, and my father beat up the father, right? My sister and the whole block, they're all coming down. My sister's riding her bike. And there's a boy, our next door neighbor was walking. He walked in front of my sister's bike. And she went over the head, she went face first over the handlebars. And her teeth got knocked out. My father picked up her teeth and brought her back home. Cops came, everything, and my father said to the cops, you want to arrest me, you can arrest me, but you let me take my daughter home. Took my daughter home, my sister home. My sister wound up, they had, brought her to an emergency, but they put her teeth back in with these braces and everything, and her nose was broken, and she broke a cheekbone. But my father my father was sticking up for me. Yeah. And then in high school, which was legend to everybody in Yorktown High School that grew up with me, would remember when I was playing football, same thing. I had a football coach. We had a big problem. A football coach benched me because, I had a big mouth and shit like that. I would say shit like, you suck. You were letting that motherfucker, he sucks. You playing him. You know what I mean? Like, I was a little wacky. And, the coach said, you're off the team, Valentino. My father jumped over the fence and said, no, he's not off no team. You know what I mean? My father went after him, and all the football kids jumped on my father. Which, then me and my friend were trying to fight with him. I was fighting with my own football guys on the own team. And the coach ran in the bus away from my father. My father punched the door of the bus. Cops come. This was in Portchester High School, New York. Cops come. They arrest my father. And the thing is, my father... grew up with the chief of police there, Johnny Super, and they let the chief of police was like, Paul, what are you doing here? You can't be doing it. So they let him go, you know what I mean? And this is, early 70s and stuff, mid 70s. And, but the thing is, my father was always there, even when I got arrested and everything. I'm sorry.
I know, and there's the definition of a true man. He was there for you at any point. True man. And you have a lot to be proud of, So getting emotional is part of it.
I didn't mean to get emotional.
No, that's fine.
I think back at these things, and the guy's dead now. You know what I mean? And you just think, how much you miss your father.
Yeah, nobody makes it out of here alive, and that's the unfortunate part of this, because you keep your memories as vivid as you can to the forefront of your mind. So there you are in high school. 1972 is when you started bodybuilding.
Yes.
Now you were in high school.
Shit, you just made me realize something.
What's that?
Holy shit, he just made me realize something. 1972. You're right. That's when I started bodybuilding. And I just finished saying that the epiphany of Mr. O'Connor and then all that stuff happening, that was like a year before. And then, because the next year is when I started becoming good at sports. And then I got the trophy. I'm going to bring it in. When we get a break, I'm going to bring it in. I got the trophy outside. And you're...
So 1972 is where... I know why I got that is because I when I was doing the research, I figured 72 for you was where everything started to turn.
Yes.
You figure, now all of a sudden you start getting into the bodybuilding. Mm-hmm. Were you into bodybuilding because of something personal, or is this the motivation? Because I always tell on the podcast, sometimes you need motivation, whether it be a breakup, a divorce, you get fired or something that all of a sudden turns you, and that propels you into something better. And I've always said the best revenge is massive success.
You know what turned me? First of all, my father was built, all right, and he worked out, and he was... you gotta understand, I idolized my father. I wanted to be just like him. My father never drank, never smoked. He used to tell me guys that carry guns are cowards. They're afraid of something. I don't need to carry a gun. Like my father was a very headstrong.
He was a man's man.
Yeah, man's man, 100%. If you said, my girlfriend out there, he was alive before, when I was with her.
Right.
And if I was to say the word fuck or shit or something in front of her, he'd be like, this is my girlfriend. I'm an adult man. You know what I mean? And he'd be like, hey, watch your mouth. There's a woman. You don't talk like that. You know what I mean? He didn't like that.
Yeah. He
didn't like if you cursed in front of girls. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't, he was, him and my mother were married forever, and they would, he would hold doors, like that. He was that kind of a guy.
And your father was very talented.
Yes.
A talented painter. And you were in a video that I put up today. My brother was at your house.
Right.
Took video of your father's paintings, and he did stuff for A1 Steak Sauce. He made the logo for them. He painted that. Paint that by hand.
He did A1 Steak Sauce, Leah Perrin Steak Sauce, which is unusual because of the Shanley Whiskers, John Deere tractors, Salem cigarettes, Camel cigarettes, Pisana razor blades, Shanley Whiskeys, John Deere tractors. Did I say that already? Wait a minute. Yeah. There was a bunch. There's Playtex stockings. There was a bunch of them. I can't remember them. He did a lot of. He started out as a cartoonist. Then he became an illustrator. Okay, and then he became a commercial artist, and that's where he did. He was big with album covers. He used to do he was good friends with one of the Italian singers, Jimmy Rosselli. I don't know if you know who he is, but very in the Italian world, he's very famous. Whenever him and. Whenever they play, whenever you see mafia movies, sometimes you hear, no. You hear a lot of that stuff. That was the Godfather bit. A lot of that stuff was Jimmy Rosselli. My father did his album covers, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. One of the rock bands did all their album covers. Did a lot of stuff. He did this 8-foot mosaic tile thing, in the house. But my father never drank, never smoked, never did any of that stuff. Didn't believe in drinking. He used to say to me, when you drink or if you get high or something like that, you're losing control, and you don't want to ever lose control. So that's in my brain.
See, that's what is the total crazy part of this story, because usually it's someone whose father's not in the household, doesn't have the good upbringing that you had as far as father being there,
right?
That tends to go the other way to do something to get the attention of somebody else because your father wasn't giving you the attention or whatever.
100%.
This is the total opposite,
100%.
which is wild to me. It's wild because now you're starting to work out, you're starting to lift weights and do whatever, and you were totally natural at this point. You're in high school,
100% natural,
whatever.
yes.
So where do you? So now we're going to fast forward just a little bit. You're bodybuilding, you're doing whatever. You're looking muscular development. You're looking at all those magazines. Well, I don't think they were around at that time, but you're looking at the magazines with Joe Weider and Arnold, and obviously Arnold is an icon. When do you start saying, I might take this seriously and go to the next level?
Well, what happened was, there's pictures of me even at 11 years old, and I was built. Before I ever touched weights, even though I was quiet And I didn't, like when I was really stinky at sports, because I just didn't, like I would just sit there on the bench. Valentino, you're up. Okay. I just get the bat, and I didn't have any mojo. You know what I mean? Now, when I got the mojo, I was really good. But the problem is, I'm short. You know what I mean? 5'6". So I had to be better than everybody else. And the one thing I started noticing is the minute I started lifting weights, I started growing. You know what I mean? I was naturally built. I had every body part. You know what I'm saying? It was like when you see one of these crack kid, like in New York City or something like that. He's laying on the sidewalk. You go, look at this guy's got. He's like he's got. Whoops! I don't want to pull your wire out here. He's got. He's skinny, but he's got every little body part. Look, he's got little pecs, little leg. Man, imagine if that guy lifted weight. I was like that. So the minute I started working out, I grew. But here's the thing. See, I hated being short. My father was 5'10". I wanted to be at least his height, 5'11". And, I'm only 5'6". And I wanted to be, I figured if I couldn't grow taller, I got to get bigger. I'm going to grow wider like that. And that's really what really, I remember when I first started lifting weights, I have a really, I got a nice V-taper back, broad back and everything. And my mother said to my father, what the hell are those things on his back? Like, why? What are those things under his armpits? You know what I mean? And my father's like, those are his lats. That's fine. He's good. Let him. Yeah. He's getting built. Because my father liked the fact that I was getting built. You know what I mean? Yeah. And my mother, she wasn't against it, but she was like, well, I don't want him to get muscle bound where he can't. And my father's like, don't listen to that.
Yeah.
He's not going to get muscle bound. Trust me. And my father and mother had a great relationship. They were a team. You know what I'm saying? If my father said one thing, my mother said, what'd your father say? That's it. Don't ask me again. Or if my mother said something, my father said, what'd your mother say? That's it. Don't ask me again. And that was the way it worked. They were a team. Yeah. But my mother did things with my sister and me. But my father did things with my sister and me. But he would take me to the movies. We'd go to the baseball field, the golf thing. My father did that. He'd go outside. We'd throw baseballs. I would even do that with my mother. You know what I mean? I would have a baseball catch. Well, my mother would. My mother was lefty. She'd take the righty glove, put it on. So both my parents were very accommodating.
And that's what I mean. What I'm trying to. Okay, so you want to get wider as opposed to because you couldn't go taller. Right. But usually there's something there that's astray, and this is why this story is so complicated to me, because you had the nucleus that most kids who go the opposite direction want and don't have.
But the stray for me was I didn't like being small.
Just short. That's it. You just didn't like that.
I just what it is. I could hit a ball better than most of the kids. I got the trophies. I brought little things here. Even in fucking powerlifting, I won a bench show, and it was 165 pounds. I benched 435. I was natural. And I beat everybody. It's out there. I got the proof. But I just didn't. I didn't care how much I lifted. I didn't care how built I got. I just couldn't stand the fact. I remember one time we were in a fight. It was one of the deals. This school's gonna fight that school. Yeah. We were in a local, like it was out in front of a movie theater, right? Any people know it's called Baldwin Place where I live. So anyway, we were up at Baldwin Place. We're up there. And a bunch of kids from this other school, like Somer School, they were like all fucking wrestling team, and they were going to fight. And we were being paired off, and it was me. It was actually me and a few other guys, and a few other guys on that side. And I remember the one guy going, my one friend was scary looking, right? He looked like a biker, even because we were in high school. He already had tattoos. Nobody had tattoos in the 70s. Nobody. My friend that had tattoo in the 70s. He had the long hair, the goatee, and everything. But he was a high school guy. And he was, he passed away too, Joey Parker, God love you. I miss him. Anyway, he was, one of my best friends. And I remember the one guy goes, dude, I want the small one, the short one. And my friend, the one I was just telling you about, Joey, he goes, you just made the biggest mistake because he's the one who's going to kick all your asses. And it's true because, I could handle myself pretty goddamn well when I was younger. But the thing is, I was more... It wasn't about fighting. It was about how fucking dare you point at me.
It was a disrespect thing.
And say, the short guy, I want the small guy. Because I can kick my friend's ass. And he looks scarier. But the way you see, those are the kind of things I didn't like. Because it did that even with the football team. They would pick guys that were short, the taller guys, or any sports teams, or even whatever. And I always felt like you get overlooked when you're short. You know what I'm saying? Because some guy's taller, that don't mean nothing. I'll cut him down like a tree.
Right.
I told this story on the internet. I'll tell you if you want to cut it out, you can cut it out, because some people are like, Valentino, you repeated your stories. But when I was younger, I was about this time, I was single digits, so that maybe 8, 9. There was this kid that I grew up with who stuttered, and he was older, but he was big. He was a bigger kid. And we were in groups of kids, and we were all talking outside school, just talk, nothing. And one of the other kids said something to me, and I was laughing. And he was standing, and he had been talking to another kid, and because he stuttered and everything, and he thought I was laughing at him. So he turned, he punched me in the face, jumped on top of me with his knees, right? And was beating the shit out of me, the ground and pound. The other kids had to pull him off. And I had no idea. It came out of left field. I didn't even see him like standing there coming at me. I had no idea what he did. And he beat me up so bad. I was crying, and I pissed my pants. I wet my pants in front of everybody. There was girls there. There was everything there. And my neighbor, who was one of the boys, had to walk me home. I wet my fucking pants. And I was so afraid of this kid after that.
Right.
I wouldn't go home. We walked to school, because the school's in walking distance where I live. We walked to school, so I wouldn't walk that way. I'd cut through the woods, or I'd walk on the main road, because I didn't want to see him, because he'd be like, I'm going to wait for you after school. And I told my father, and of course my father goes up to his father, you know what I mean, and told him, if you can't control your son, then you and I are going to have a problem. You know what I mean? And they put the kibosh to it.
Okay.
So, now, I'm about 15, 16 years old. We're on he's older than me. He's like 2 years ahead of me in school. He was like quarterback on a team, went back with quarterbacks, and he stuttered like that. Now, we're 15, 16 years old, and we're playing. I just got on the team, and we're scrimmaging. It's summertime, we're scrimmaging. And he's there, and, we're not supposed to tackle. It's supposed to, you're supposed to just, go through the plays. And I ran into him, and I laid him out. And he got mad, and he threw the football, and the coach goes to me, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not supposed to do that. And I was so enraged with this kid, because I never forgot that he made me piss my pants in front of other children. The humiliation of that. So I was so enraged that I started going, da, 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 like this. And the coach goes, that's it. Get out of here. You're off the team. And he threw me off the team. So you know what I did? Ironically, the kid that was with me was my friend, the one I told you looked like a, biker dude, Joey Parker. I was with him, and I said, do me a favor. Don't let anybody jump in. I'm going to fuck him up right now. So after, the locker room has an outdoor door that you walk out of the, to the parking lot. So I waited for him, and he came out there, and I said, stutter, fucking come here. And I went after him, and I beat him. I jumped on top of him, just like he jumped on top of me. And I was headbutting him. I was punching his fucking face, and he was screaming like a girl. I beat him fucking senseless. And my friend Joe's like, nobody jump in. Nobody fucking jump in. And you know what's funny? When I got up, he was trying to crawl, and I was kicking him like that. And I was so incensed. I was like spitting. I was like, you mother, and I'm sorry. If you have to edit this, poor guys, forget about it. But I was like, you motherfucker, I'll kill you. I'll forget Dad. Finally Joe stopped me. Greg, that's enough. Yeah. And I beat the shit out of him, and he couldn't even, he was like crawling away. Now that's 1975, 76. That's how long ago that was. To this day, I see him every once in a while. He's an old man.
Oh,
now.
No kidding.
I see him still living the same time. I see him every once in a while. And to this day, my girlfriend will tell you, we just saw him not too long ago in the Staples. And I stare at him like this. And I just stare. And he'll notice me, and then he'll kind of look away.
Since 75?
Yeah, because you know why? I don't mean to sound fucked up, but when a woman's raped, she could take, you can take that guy who raped her, And you could give her a knife and say, here, stab me. She could stab him to death 1,000 times. Now he's dead. The spit on his body, right? But she never gets over the fact because mentally he fucking raped me. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, she could never get over the fact. Even if you said to that woman, "Yeah, you killed him," 10 years later, she'd be like, "I fucking raped me." You know, like you can't get over it. Do you understand that?
No, I get it.
So,
I get it.
like, to this day, I stare at him like a dog, and I'm like looking at him, and I almost want him to say, "Hey, you want to go?" Because before he can say it, I'd probably get arrested. But before he can say it, it'd be all over him. You have no idea.
Yeah, I think beating up a 60-something-year-old man would be.
Yeah, but I'm 60-something-year-old. It's not that I want to beat him up. I can't explain to you. It's just that I gotta be honest with you. I've seen shows. Haven't you ever seen a show where they have like, face your bully. 20 years ago, Joe Matarazzi, bullied this guy, and the guy sitting there, you bullied me. And Joe Matarazzi says, I'm so sorry, dude, but I don't even remember you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't understand, from the kid who was bullied, even though I got retribution, I mean, I beat his ass, and I can feel it even when I tell the story, the rage. I beat his ass, but you want to know something? I would love to do it again and again and again, because he took a piece. I peed in my pants.
Yeah.
Do you understand that?
No, I get it. I totally get it.
In front of girls, in front of other kids. I was a little boy.
But let me push back on you a little bit on that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be better if you went to him, and said, "Hey, I forgive what you did. I'm good," and just hear me out, because that way now he's got to think about it, not you. You're thinking about it now, and mentally it's doing something to you, because I could see how you are here now.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you put it on him, said, "Hey, it's on you now. I'm good." Don't you think that would bother him more?
It might.
No, it would. It would.
I think that even if I approached him, he'd run out of there.
He probably would.
You know what it is? He's when we were younger, he was a big kid.
Right.
But a lot of guys I know that I grew up with now are like
Yeah,
this.
but you won. You might not have won there for your embarrassment back when you were a kid, but you won now.
I understand. You see, that's the thing. Even my girlfriend's like, dude, relax. You already beat his head. What do you care? That's freaking 45 years ago, whatever. I don't know what it was, 1976, however many years ago.
That's 47, because I was born in 76.
Oh, okay. So it's 47. Let's see, now we got his age. It's 47 years ago. Get over it. I get it. Mm-hmm. But if you told a woman who was raped, and she killed a rapist now, she killed him. He's dead. He's gone. He may, or whatever. Somebody killed him. He's dead. He's in the ground. He's still, for some reason, that's a mental thing. Do you understand? Like, you almost have dreams about that still.
And if it was that much of a mental thing to you, I think, yeah, you would. But you would run faster without a 15-pound plate on your back.
I know what you're saying. You get
I'm just
rocks on
saying,
your back.
I'm just trying to say to you, you've won. You've won.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man to man, you won. Because now he's got to think about that. As you're staring at him, he can't even look at you. So you've already deterred his life. Because he can't go to a Staples and think that he can get, paper and pens without you looking at him. And that's just what I'm saying.
I see exactly what you're saying. It's just that, you know what? Somewhere inside me, that 9-year-old boy or 8-year-old, whatever I was, that little boy was so human. You know what it's like to go back to even your father, who's this big, rugged guy. He understood. He was very loving. He wasn't like, look at you, what did you... He was nothing like that. Right. On the contrary, he was like, don't worry about it. You're okay. He's not going to hurt you. I promise you. I'll take care of it. You know what I mean? But I you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if
it's hard for
you know what I mean.
And I know.
My father never made me feel this big. He always made me feel that big.
Right.
Always made me feel like I was 6'8". I mean, and he like, even when I got jacked, he was like proud of me. He didn't give a shit. Like, look at that, like he was like, yeah.
It was the unconditional love, which again, it mesmerizes me that he had such unconditional love with you. Your mother's relationship with you was good too. That, okay, so now I'm going to fast forward a little bit to where you now start using. That was the end of part 1 of the interview we conducted last week with Gregg Valentino. We have a few more parts to put in, but what we want to do is get something out for you, give you a little taste of what it's going to be like. We do have footage of his home, of his yard, his garage, all the stuff he's doing now. We're going to put that in together at some point here with that. So you have to watch the entire episodes to put it all together. So please like and subscribe so we can tell you when these episodes are coming out. This was the first part. We put it in as quick as we could because we want to get something out there, a little bit of teaser. It gets really good in the next couple episodes.